Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Dr. Jacqueline Kabah Harrison. I am your host for A Queen's Roundtable show and podcast. And this particular segment is a part of the Born to Lead docuseries, where I interview different women entrepreneurs from across the globe, and we dive into leadership. We talk about their leadership journey, some of the ups and the downs, but we always end on a educational note where they are sharing tangible tips and tools that you can begin using today to fine tune your leadership skills. We air every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we can be found on the Realizing Your Potential television network, which is currently streaming on Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we didn't leave off the mobile sites for those of you that like to join us via your mobile, your phones and so forth. We have an app for iOS and an Android app, so there's no excuse. You can join us at any of the above or multiple if you want to, but make sure you join us. All right, so I'm super excited today. My guest for today is Miss Ginger King, and she is a cosmetic chemist, 10 times business coach, beauty awards judge, and as seen in Success Magazine and on TV Monthly. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her on into the studio, and she's going to introduce herself to you. Well, hello there, Ginger. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for your invitation to be on your show.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you. Okay, so Ginger, go ahead. I know I shared just a little blurb about you, but go ahead and let us know who is Ginger and what's been going on with you as far as your business these last 10 years or so.
Sure. I am a cosmetic chemist and I own a consulting firm in New Jersey. So I help entrepreneurs to build their own beauty brand from concept to launch, including formulations that they can own. In addition, I am also a certified 10X business coach because I realize a lot of times after I give my clients the products, they don't know how to do sales and marketing for the products. So I added the service to complete the ecosystem.
Okay. Wow, that's quite a bit. So you know what? Let's back it up a little bit. How did you get into that? I mean, what was the catalyst, I guess? Or did you graduate school and then know automatically that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, when I was growing up, I grew up in a beauty family. My mom was the first woman brought Shiseido boutique from Japan to Taiwan. So I was under the influence without knowing it until I came to America. That's when I started wearing makeup. And then I realized the impact of what makeup can do for a woman. In the beginning, I wanted to be a makeup artist. However, being Asian, it's like if you are not getting your PhD, at least getting your master's degree, that's the cultural expectation. So I was like, fine, if I cannot be a makeup artist, why don't I major in chemistry and become a cosmetic chemist? So that's how it started.
Wow, okay. All right. So share with us a little bit about, I know you have been seen in Success Magazine, TV Monthly, The Beauty Shark, Ginger. So tell us a little bit about that.
One very active in terms of the PR approach, just because my mentor, I have two mentors. One is Damon John of Shark Tank, thus I name myself the Beauty Shark. Another one is Grant Cardone. He started the 10X movement. And he always said, best known beats best. Yes, being best is great. However, if nobody knows you, nobody follows you, meaning nobody's gonna be doing business with you. So I do pay attention to PR very much, and this is also why I'm on your podcast.
Okay. So you said an annual podcast?
No, this is why I'm on your podcast. So
Oh, okay, right, because of
yeah.
the PR. Okay, okay. So the TV monthly, what and I'm not out, I'll be honest with you, I'm not in the beauty industry. You can probably tell. I'm not in the beauty industry at all. So what exactly is the TV monthly?
Okay, so I do a small beauty segment on Good Day Sacramento every month, talking about beauty.
Okay, all right. So talking about beauty, and I would assume how to
Mhm.
actually like care for your skin and things of that nature as well, and to protect. Okay, okay,
Yes.
awesome, awesome. Okay, so in terms of like the business coaching, like how do you access your clients? Do you do like in group settings? Is it like a brick and mortar in person? Is it something that you do virtually?
It's over Zoom right now, but I do have the ability to do workshops. So I can do one-on-one or a group setting.
Okay, nice, nice. And where are you located at within the United States?
I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, you're in New Jersey, New Jersey. Okay. Now, have you always been in New Jersey?
No, I have moved around. I grew up in Taiwan. I
Okay.
moved to Texas, then
Okay.
moved to California, New York, and then New Jersey.
Okay, so you've kind of been around some different places in the United States. Okay. All right. And
Yes.
then you landed in Jersey, huh?
Yes.
I mean, because I'm thinking like when you say Texas and California, I know those are much better climates than than being in New Jersey. All right. Okay, so let me see. So do you are you did you is there anything else you'd like to share with us in reference to your your business itself, or do you kind of want to jump into talking about leadership?
We can jump in.
Okay, let's jump on in. Okay, so what made you or why were you interested in being a part of the Born to Lead docu-series? Why did you feel like this was important for you to do?
Because being a woman and being an entrepreneur, we need to support each other. A lot of women still needs to be more empowered and know they do have the potential to be a leader.
Okay. Good, good. Of course, I agree. That's why I do this. So now, when you were growing up, what were you taught? I mean, I know a lot of times when I talk to some of the ladies that I've interviewed, we, share similar experiences, such as like growing up. I remember I was always taught to be seen and not heard, and just to kind of, stay in the background. Don't do too much. Don't cause too much attention to yourself. So, what were your experiences like growing up and like watching your mom and grandmother and so forth?
Yeah, pretty much just like you, and especially growing up in an Asian culture, it's pretty much keep your mouth shut all the time.
Okay, she said all the time. Okay. Okay. So, how were you able to? So, how has I guess your career choice like how was that received from your family?
What a career choice, because I didn't pursue a makeup artistry. I pursue in chemistry, which
Okay.
is a science degree, which is highly regarded in Asian culture.
Okay.
So that was fine. I mean,
Okay.
of course, it'll be better if I'm a doctor or a lawyer, but hey, science degree is good enough.
Okay. So they're okay with like what you're doing as far as with cosmetics and how you're impacting the beauty industry.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, good. Now, do you have sisters?
Now I'm the only child.
Oh, okay. All right. The only child. Okay. All right. So that's interesting, because like you say, culturally we may have grown up differently, but this seems to be kind of one of the common themes, that I'm finding in terms of the expectation as far as women. Okay, so that was one of the things I wanted to ask. Okay, so that gives me a little bit of a context. So how is it, and your field's a little different, because I guess women are expected to be at the forefront, if you will, I guess in your field. versus maybe, right, like a law firm or, like some of these Fortune 500, companies that, aren't related to cosmetics. So have you had any, I'll just keep it open. Have you had any, um, I guess, any situations? I don't know why. Sometimes I can't think of a better word, but what has your experience been like working in this industry? I mean, is it still a male dominated industry?
You will be surprised how many male chemists is actually working in cosmetics,
Mm, okay.
and they will be making your foundations, and they are still very heavily male dominated, especially in the management level. It's
Okay.
still predominantly male,
Okay.
but you do see a trend of having more and more female founders coming out. More, I mean, I would say 95% of my clients, they are female founders.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. Wow. So they're still dominating there too, huh? So
Yes.
what has that been like for you? Have you experienced any, I don't know, I guess any hardships in reference to that being a woman in this area?
Well, I think beauty would be a little bit more forgiving, just because after all, it's women using beauty products more than men, even though I have a lot of, men colleague, over these years. But I still think in terms of the texture, like we have a better sensitivity to how the product should feel like, should look like on our skin. Because I mean, all the chemists are supposed to be applying the products on the face. Even though yes, there are a lot of men working in the lab, they are required to wear lipsticks.
I didn't know that. Okay. All right. Wow. This is very educational. Okay. All right. Yeah. I hadn't really thought about it. Okay. So what, well, were there any defining moments for you that I guess in particular taught you, like over the years, it doesn't have to be recent necessarily, but that have really kind of shown you either who you are as a leader or maybe kind of really put to the forefront what your type of leadership style is, I guess. Yeah.
Well, throughout the careers, I do have people reporting to me, and also, like we do this personality assessment, the DISC assessment, and I'm always a D. So being D is very direct. So I know my leadership styles at
Okay.
the very beginning.
Okay. And you know what? And I hear people talk about that a lot. And it's called the DISC assessment.
Yes,
Okay. 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 And just to be clear, that particular assessment, I guess you can find it online, I would think, right?
yes.
Okay, but that when if an individual takes that, that will kind of give them what, like maybe a comprehensive, um more of a comprehensive, I guess, analysis of their personality type as it pertains to leadership. Would that be accurate? If not, correct me.
It's not pertaining to leadership, but pertaining to how you can deal with the person. Because I'm a D, so I'm very direct,
Okay.
and it feels like you are an I. I mean, sometimes if you are in the field long enough, you don't even require people to take the test. You can pretty much tell based on how people behave. So it's DISC. So the I person is more sociable. It's kind of everywhere. Okay. And the S type is very reserved. And the
Okay.
C type is very analytical. For the people with the C, you need to give data.
Okay. Okay. All
So
right.
this is how you do leadership, by knowing the personality type. Because if you're talking to a D person, you're gonna give all this miscellaneous, the story behind this. We are not interested.
Right. I see. Okay. All right. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that was funny though. The way you just said that, you was like, I already know. You don't, some people don't even have to take the test, and I have taken the test. But you know what? So let me ask you this: for women entrepreneurs, and that's just my specific audience, would you recommend that they take this assessment?
Yes,
Okay.
because in order for you to know yourself well, you need the assessment. Otherwise, you will have the blind spot. You don't see
Mm,
how you see yourself until you take this test.
okay. And then you know what? Okay, so we just did an in-person event, and we talked about how, like, going from content creator to leader, how to build a team with purpose, right? And some of the different things that we talked about was learning yourself. And when learn your style, you're able to appropriately pick a team. And it kind of seems like that's a little bit of what you're sharing right now, because you got to have the right people around you. You know what I mean? Like, because
Yes.
we all have strengths, right? And we all
Mm-hmm.
have areas that we may need to work on. And it's
Mm-hmm.
important in leadership as well, and building your team, to know that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that definitely comes up. Okay. Okay. So let's get tell me this. In terms of women, what do you feel, women entrepreneurs, what can you share in reference to leadership that you think would be able to, other than what we just talked about, the disc assessment, or you can elaborate on that if you want to, or
I
share something
think for
more.
women, actually, when we do any negotiation, you just have to drop the thought, I'm a woman.
Mm,
There
okay.
is no difference when we are doing negotiation. A human is a human. There is really no sex differences. I
Okay.
mean, you want to get what you want to get. So, what does it matter if you're a woman or a man? Even though we do know for society, women still like it's not as comparable to men in terms of the salary, in terms of the power position. But then if you go in, you think because you are a woman, you are already lost.
Okay. Okay. That's very powerful, Ginger. Very powerful. I think a lot of people will hear that, and they kind of be like, okay, and I'm just kind of just thinking of like what that means to me when I hear you say that. And I guess what I'm initially thinking is, but we still have to deal with, like, societal norms. You know what I mean? Even though,
Okay. So, your liability can become your asset. Okay. It's like this is not woman or man. It's just in terms of when I do a lot of speaking engagement, and sometimes people will say, "Well, you have an accent," as a way of refusing me. But the reality is the reason why I have an accent is because I speak more than one language. And how many language do you speak? And that will be a powerful punch back. So you do not let your liability like hinder you. Instead, you should be using that as your asset, because I mean I speak multiple languages, so I can be on multiple stages. And how many stages can you be on,
right?
right? So you really just need to turn the switch. And
Okay.
just because you're a woman, so what are women good at? Women are more, I think women are better in terms of the relationship. So we can use that as an advantage, approaching things, rather than a man. A man can be like a straightforward and just want to fight. But
Okay.
then women, we can think about how can we go about this in a more peaceful way and still get what we want. You just need to turn that whatever liability you think you have into
Hmm.
an asset. And like for example, when I go to any meetings, I'm always on the front row. Whenever we take pictures, I'm always on the front row. And people will say, "Why do you always have the best pictures?" I'm always with all the celebrities, front row shot.
Hmm.
And that was because, hey, I'm short. So I will just barge in. I say, "Hey, let me in. I can see. Let me in." So I am using my liabilities as my asset.
She said, "I'm always in the front." Me too, right? Because I'm short too. I may
Yeah.
not be, I'm not thin, but I'm short, so I have to get up in the front. And I always
Yeah.
say, like, whenever I'm in any sort of an environment, whether it's picture taking or a lecture or whatever, I'm always I maneuver my way to the front, because otherwise I'm not gonna be able to see anything. But people do say, "Well, how'd you end up there?" But because I'm made my way through. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So I'm just kind of
yeah,
maneuver my way on up in the front.
yeah.
But okay, so I like that. Okay, so whatever liability you think you may have, or I don't know, the people at the table may feel that you have, you use that to your advantage.
Correct.
So us being women, our advantages. One of the things you mentioned was the socializing piece,
Hmm.
right? Well, what are some of the other advantages you think we as women have?
Women, actually, there's a statistics like women are better salespeople than men,
I better
just
what?
because are better salespeople.
Oh, salespeople. Okay.
Yes, than men, just because we come across as more authentic, we
Hmm.
come across as more caring. So we are more charismatic when it comes to selling. I mean, when we sell things, people don't feel it's pushy.
Mm, I never thought about that. You know, when you first said that, the first thing that came to my mind was um, that a lot of times when you're selling, I would assume, like I said, I don't have marketing experience, but I would assume you're tying in at or you're grabbing people's emotions, right? Because typically, maybe not everybody, but I think statistics show that people, you know, I guess that's what pushes the sale over is a person's emotions or how they feel. Like if you touch their pain points. I've heard a lot of business coaches talk about
Hmm.
that. So I would think that since women overall, not every woman, but overall, since maybe we're more in touch with emotions,
Hmm.
that we can kind of get in there and maybe identify that and be able to, access it more. Like that was the first thing that came to my mind when you said that. Okay, I hadn't thought
Yes,
about that.
because everything is about resonate. Can you resonate with your audience? That's
Okay,
the key to influence.
okay. Hmm. And I like how you said that we don't come across as pushy. I've
Hmm.
never really thought about that. Okay. Yeah, and you know what? And I'm thinking like when I go to the car dealership,
Hmm.
most often, right? Salesmen are men. And I
Hmm.
hadn't really thought about that. Like, what if it was a woman? Like would I hate it as much? Because I hate it. I hate
Hmm.
going to the car dealership, you
Hmm.
know. And it's because I always feel like I'm being like talked at.
Hmm.
Like no one's really eliciting what are your needs and what do you feel like you need out of a car and all of those types of things. I just feel like I'm being talked at and they're not really listening to any of my needs. They just want to put me into this particular car, maybe because it's, I don't know, maybe they get a better kickback from it or whatever. I don't know. But like, what would that experience be like if it was a woman?
Hmm.
Hmm. I hadn't really thought about that. Wow. And see, this is why I love doing this. Like talking to different people. Everyone has a different perspective.
Hmm.
And that gets me to thinking a little bit differently just about leadership, just leadership in general.
Hmm.
So, wow, thank you, Ginger. I appreciate that. All right. So let's see, where else can we take that in terms of helping women to feel, I guess, more confident when they are like the only one at the table, meaning like the only woman at the table. And then, a lot of times for even a minority, for a lot of African American women, we're women and we're also a minority at the table. So, what other, I guess maybe can you give us one or two other little tidbits that,
Well, why don't you picture yourself as a Caucasian man going into the meeting? How would you act differently?
hmm, okay, as a Caucasian male, how would I act differently?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going in saying I'm a minority, I'm a woman, you're already losing half of the battle. But if you're going in, at least you are equal footing, then there is something that we can start.
Okay. Have you ever done that? Or
I never, I mean, yes, I'm Asian, yes, I'm female, but I never go into a meeting thinking I'm Asian, I'm female, I cannot do it. I going in knowing I'm going to win whatever negotiation there is.
okay.
So it's really starting with your mindset, because if you think you're gonna win, you're gonna win. If you think you have all these liabilities, you just already lost.
Okay. So, hearing you say that, Ginger, it sounds like it also involves, or self confidence
Yes,
is a big piece of leadership,
yes. And how do you get confidence? You get confidence from doing.
right? From doing. Yep.
Yeah.
From doing and going and stretching yourself, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. All right. I like that. You've given me quite a few things to think about in such a short period of time. I mean, like some people, they give you a lot of jewels, but it may take them a little bit longer to get there. But because you have such a direct style, we
Yep.
got straight to the point.
Absolutely, I'm a D.
I love
Before
it.
I took the test, my boss said you are a triple D.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Triple D. Yep. Yep. Wow. Okay. So now do you work and forgive me if you've already said it, but now I'm kind of segueing into the piece of, if people are interested in working with you and where they can find you, if you have any upcoming events. So go ahead and speak to that. Like, or if you have a book or something, share that with
I
us.
will have a book at the end of the year. It's too early to share right now.
Okay.
Um, the best way to find me is actually my Instagram, the Beauty Shark Ginger, because you can DM me there. My email is also on my profile. And the reason why I say Instagram instead of LinkedIn is because Instagram you get to see the variety faces of me
Mm,
because you get to see every aspect of me. And LinkedIn is I keep it strictly professional. So it's a different platform, and I think Instagram is fun.
yeah. Okay. All right. So excellent. So if they're interested in doing what exactly, can you
Okay,
help them?
if they want to build their own beauty brand, for
Okay.
example, if you are currently a dermatologist or a med spa owner, you want to have your own beauty brand with proprietary technology rather than private label. You want something that you can leave a legacy with. You want something that you can get you a financial freedom without doing the one-on-ones, from a beauty service provider into a beauty brand. I'm the person to talk to. I can help you to build out your whole brand with the products and the formulations that you can own. And also another part of my business is 10x business coaching. Like today, the stuff that we talk about, a lot of them I can talk about that during my business coaching, the
All right.
tactics.
Okay. And you do that one-on-one?
I do that one-on-one or a group coaching as well. But group, I usually need at least 3 people
Okay.
for me to open the group.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. That is wonderful. And so the best way to reach her is on Instagram
Yes, the
under
Beauty Shark Ginger.
the Beauty Shark Ginger. Okay,
Yes.
Instagram. So that's the best way to contact her and reach out to her, um, if you want to talk with her further. All right, wonderful. Anything else you'd like to add, Ginger, before I close it out?
Um. Well, reach out to me whether you want beauty or not, because my 10x business coaching is quite powerful. I teach people to have 10x super life.
10x super
Super
life.
life.
Now, what's that? I mean, or is that too much to? Is
Super
that
life. Super life is I help you personally, professionally, and financially, so you can reach to your highest potential.
awesome? Okay, I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, all right. So, thank you all for joining us. Again, this was a segment for the Born to Lead docuseries. If you are a woman entrepreneur and you're interested in sharing your insight in reference to leadership, then reach out to me and let's have that conversation. And I'm primarily on Facebook and LinkedIn, more so LinkedIn. but under Dr. Jacqueline Kabah Harrison. So thank you for tuning into this episode. Oh, and I always forget to mention this. I'm also on YouTube under A Queen's Roundtable channel. So, I know everyone's on YouTube, so you can also find us there as well. And if you're interested in being a host, bringing your talk show and or your podcast to a TV streaming platform, such as Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple, definitely reach out to me. And again, let's have that conversation and let's make it happen. All right, so join us again. Make sure that you check out this particular episode and the other episodes of the other awesome women entrepreneurs that I have interviewed for this series as well. And until next time, take care and I will see you soon. All right, everyone.